Good angle.
And it doesn't make coherent sense.
No, I would say that this does make coherent sense, and then humans that are very, I don't know, intellectual or I don't know, have this conscious concept, they understood, okay, you can take it, and if it's built, if this is the way it was created, you can maybe try to do with it something else.
Are you suggesting that this bottle, without anyone making it, any company, I mean this is made by this company, right? Without any company manufacturing it, putting plastic together in this shape and making that bottle to contain water, and actually having water as well, which is mineral, okay? To say that this is possible without any intelligent agency to make it, I would say we need to question that. How do you explain a complex, organized piece?
How do you explain
How-
organic chemistry?
Organic chemistry is explained by a designer. You cannot explain otherwise. So this is why my position is stronger every single time that you bring anything in from the real world. This bottle, to say that this can be produced without anyone making it, is like believing that, you know what, I can fly just by flapping my wings. This is how equivalent it is.
I also have to say.
You see? Look, if I do this, can I fly? I can't. I don't have wings.
But your assumption about flying is based on something. It sounds like
Magic.
You know that things can fly.
This is magic,
And
if
know
you say
that
it's not made by
anatomically
anyone.
You cannot fly. You know that. You know that anatomically.
Can this be
you
made
try.
without any maker?
So maybe.
Can this?
How?
Is it possible that? What about these microphones? They pick up. No. Try to understand the situation. This microphone that takes your sound, transmits it via wireless to another device, and then they can replay it back. Do you think it's possible, just by time, as time went by, the matter from the pieces of metal and plastic gathered together, and they make it? Is it possible? To aggregate, to assemble, to bring together by itself without any designer.
But how? But God,
No, I agree, no. Why?
God didn't create this mind.
No. We're talking about the issues of designer. So if this requires a designer, is the universe more complex than this or less complex?
So nature is
The universe, whole universe.
complex.
More complex. So something less complex requires a designer. Something more complex than the universe requires a designer or not? How do you now rationally explain that? Less complex things requires a designer, more complex things does not require a designer.
Because this is a one-way thing. You create, you design, you produce. The word is made out of so many concepts, and then you'll say, okay, if it's so many concepts and so many processes, so there's probably some designer that, I don't know, takes it all under one umbrella and creates everything together, right? That's what you will say.
No, I am saying, let me clarify my position. We clearly see the complexity in the assembly, organized complexity. That is why we cannot say this can be simply a product of just chance happening without any designer. The universe has higher level of organization and complexity. So as a rational human being, we cannot then be inconsistent and say the universe, which is more complex in its design, it was made by nothing, made by no designer. So even design, observation of design of this microphone, and observation of the universe and the design within it, we can rationally conclude that the universe must also have a designer. Like this one must have a designer. So this inference is rational.
Okay, so if the universe has, I'm going with you, if the universe has a designer, so I'm returning to the first thing you said about the fact that people sabotaged whatever this God is saying.
They corrupt the
So
message.
They corrupted the message, okay? So if everything is so designed, why does the people corrupt it?
Sure,
That's-
because God has a
Those wars.
yeah, easily explained.
Life so bad.
Yeah, I know it's
In many countries.
I know we don't want that.
Water, not food.
Yes. I know we don't want that. We don't want poverty. We don't want warfare. We don't want racism. In fact, human beings who are rational, compassionate. We have same kind of similar kind of understanding that we do not want to see people, innocent people, getting murdered. We don't want people to be tortured and
have
oppressed.
free will. In your explanation, do we have free will?
You have free will and I have free will. So what I'm saying to you, which I'm sure you will agree with me, I'm explaining. God does not wish mankind to totally destroy itself. God created mankind and gave mankind a way to live their lives in peace, in tranquility, in justice.
Where is it? Okay.
God gave human beings a free will in which they can follow God and follow His laws or not follow. Because He wants human beings to appreciate with their own free will their Creator and submit and thank their Creator voluntarily with their own volition, not to be forced. God doesn't want us to be like robots
So
where
God
you
agrees-
believe in without any freedom of choice.
So God agrees that
So-
there are some people
so can I-
that will not believe.
Yeah, can I just make a point why we have this problem? So, because human beings have the potential to disobey and create warfare, economic disasters, and so on, God sends prophets and messengers says, don't follow this way. Follow a way in which you can live in tranquility. No. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not rob. This has been the message universally. What happens is, some people, they want to become richer, more powerful, and the way they can do that is by exploiting other people, by killing them, taking their riches, and so on. These people, they will be accountable in the day of judgment when they will be accountable for what wrong they have done. But God doesn't want simply to, imagine someone wants to stab someone and kill, and God then makes into a butterfly, and that's it. That will be like have no freedom of choice. God doesn't want people to kill, but He doesn't stop people from committing these actions. He says the people who do these actions, they are criminals in the sight of God, sinful, and they have to pay for their sins.
When they pay, how they
Yeah,
pay.
either in this world, in this life, where there will be life for life, tooth for a tooth. As a Jewish background, you should know, God can punish them and protect the society from these kind of criminals, as well as in the hereafter, those who get away. There are many people who get away, but those who get away, they will face God and His justice.
But there is this concept
And you
of
believe
Messiah,
the
the
other
concept.
world.
We believe God is just. Justice demands that when we die, the good and the bad, they should not have the same end. The worms comes and eats us when you're good, and when you're bad, it doesn't make any sense.
I have a question.
Justice demands there will be day of retribution, day of accountability, day of judgment.
Yeah, but if people corrupted religious, so where is the
Ah,
solution?
the solution is-
the concept of Mashiach, the Messiah will come to Israel, and then all the religious people would say, okay, you're not doing the mitzvahs, you're not doing nothing, so it's not good, so the Messiah will not come because of you. So it creates a society where there are people who have holds the blame with them, and there are people who are, okay, we're good. So if we have free will, and God gave us a free will to not believe, not follow His mitzvahs.
So God always says, you follow His prophets and messengers and the scripture that He sent with. Any deviation is going to create problems. It's going to create another religion. So Christianity, as you know today, as you and I know today, is a deviation from the truth of oneness of God. They made a Trinitarian God when God is one. When God sent to Moshe, one God, no gods before me, no God after me. Yeah? And then they come along and say, no, God has a son. This is a deviation. So God does not let people to, it's like going away, being changing message. So when Jesus or the Mashiach, he came, yeah, he did not come to tell people, worship me, because he could not, because the Jewish people knew. But God is the one to be worshipped. Anyone who comes and says, I am God, they have the right to kill him. They have the right to kill, crucify, whatever, right? Because that's what God's message is. Anyone who claims and becomes a God themselves, they should be punished on this world. That's what the message sent. So we believe as Muslims, Yasuh or Isa in Arabic, Al-Masih, was a Messiah, who came to remind the Jewish people to come back to the worship of God and to give glad tidings of a future messenger come who will be universal for all people, not for the Israelites, not for the Europeans, not for the Chinese or Indonesians, but for the whole world. Moses, peace be upon all the prophets and upon Moses, he did not come to every single nation. He came to Bani Israel, children of Israel. Isa, likewise, alayhi salam, came to Bani Israel, the lost ones among them, to Bani Israel. But then same God sent a messenger, a Nabi, a Rasul, as a rahmatul lil alameen, a rahmah, a mercy to all of the worlds. That is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which you as a Jewish person or a Christian, as Muslim, we should all accept him, because this is where God told us finally how to live our life without any warfare and intolerance and racism and all these things.
She said without any religious.
I feel that I am living in justice and without God.
Yeah, without religion.
Do you see justice in this world without believing in God? What's happening in Palestine? Muslims and Jewish people fighting with each other. Where is justice?
You tell me.
Exactly. So you don't see justice there, you see injustice is happening.
Yes, but if I don't believe in God, I am myself.
But you know that there is a God though. I agree with you.
I don't kill anyone. I am not cruel.
I agree. The concepts that you have, justice, compassion, love, mercy, this is good thing. This is all coming from also God's teaching. But God also wants us to follow a way of life that He wants us to follow. Not what.
Why?
Okay. Who knows us more than God? Do we know more than God how to operate ourselves? For example, do you know?
You know what? When I am jealous that you believe in God.
You can believe too.
Your life is easier than mine.
You can believe too.
I'm sure.
Sure. But do you know what we said about it makes rational sense to believe in a designer of this universe? We can bring so many other examples to illustrate this point, in which we can be sure and convinced that there is a creator who is one and absolute, sovereign and all-powerful and all-knowing. We can come to this conclusion. Once you know that there is a creator who created us for a reason, why are we going to be stubborn or lazy and say, I'm not going to listen to you? If you know that He is the one who is all knowledgeable, He knows what's best for us, what food is best for us, what way of living is best for us. He would not leave us astray to our demise. What happened to communism? How many people through Stalin and Lenin and others were killed because of their ideology, false ideology of communism? Millions of people. Their life was lost because of human beings thought they can live their life by thinking about how to live.
I want to ask you, so the Palestinian and the Jewish people now is killed because they don't believe in God?
No, they believe in God, but the problem is elsewhere. Some people are committing oppression. You take someone's land, usurp the land, you invade the land, you take over, that's injustice being committed already.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
they
why the problem starts
excuse
from there.
But they excuse it with religious. This is the problem in Israel. Like a lot of many other problems. But the problem is that they're saying, okay, in religious, God said we need to be here. Exactly.
God
here.
says you can all live together.
Not always. It depends.
What happened? To give you an
All
example.
the world, I would love to live together.
What happened? What happened before 1914 or 1900? When the Muslims were in power, the Jewish people were living in peace. So were the Christian people, so were the Muslim people. When there was a power shift, government shift, that's where the problems happen. Islamic paradigm is such that you can have your differences and your belief. You don't have to accept Islam if you don't want to. No one can force you. So when, for example, Europe was killing and massacring and torturing the Jewish people, do you know where the Jewish people go? Where they went? They went to the Muslim countries, like Islamic Spain. They went there
And also in
to have
Spain,
protection.
The Jews didn't, in Spain, the Jewish people didn't have in 19, I don't know.
No, what I'm saying is, when Europe was trying to eliminate and annihilate the Jewish people from existence, they found safe haven within the Muslim lands. The Muslims would protect them, like they would protect the Christians, and their faith too. That's why if you go to like in Syria, you will see within the same road, in one side there is a mosque, and another side there is a church for thousands of years. People have, political shift has made a lot of Jewish people to go from one country to the other, but initially they were living. You had the Jewish quarter there, and so on and so forth. So because of political shifts, the problem occurred. But Islam did not introduce a problem to the Jewish community.
Nobody said that Islam is that. In fact, we're looking for a new prime minister in Israel.
Okay.
You want to come?
I don't know your politics, so I cannot
It
comment.
doesn't matter. He doesn't know our politics also. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
You can only
so-
You will be better.
send
So
a message.
we want to see peace and tranquility happening
I
in
agree
anywhere
with
on the
you.
land.
I agree with you.
And the best way we can agree and unite is uniting under God's law, worshipping God, following His messenger. And this is what our invitation to you is, to look into Islam and see that Islam is not taking away from what you have.
Nobody
Islam
said
will
that.
give you.
Nobody said that. Can I ask you a different question?
Yeah.
What's going on here? What is
So
this?
Speaker's Corner. Okay, I'll give you a
No, we
brief
know the
background.
speaker's corner, but what's going on here today? Who organized this?
No one organizes. Speaker's Corner, people come, take the opportunity to have. Yeah, I live in London. Yeah, I don't. Some people come from a long way, from Leeds, from Manchester, from Birmingham, because they know this is a place in which they can have an exchange of information. And
So the subject is not determined in advance. Like the subject is.
happens only on Sundays. So if you are a regular, for example, and you want to discuss with someone who's a regular, you can arrange, say, you know what, let's have a motion that we can debate next week or 3 weeks later. You can arrange that. But people normally come as they go on past as a tourist, and they can engage and participate in a discussion in which you can really remove your misconceptions, enlighten yourself to be a better human being. I find that it has that opportunity, that potential, as well as the negative, which is very toxic when you go away feeling like someone's really undermined you and you feel that someone's really put you off from something. It's a double-edged sword, but the benefit is there more than the harm, I feel personally. And if we can open up people's minds to tolerate each other with our differences, that's how we can live. Yeah? Yeah. So that's our open invitation to you to become Muslims and save yourself from the hellfire. Because it's real. Hellfire is real, and paradise is real. We should not somehow, for our temporary life of this world, 120 years, 130 years, we're not going to live longer than that. Are we going to sacrifice our eternal life in a place of happiness or a place of torture just because 120 years of this life? We need to look at our priorities.
Can I take Muslim, like to be a Muslim without the hijab and everything?
Look, hijab should not stop you from becoming a Muslim. When you become a Muslim, you would recognize hijab as a function. It is a function, it's a role. No. Forget about hijab. Dress.
Hijab.
You know, people covering their hair? Okay, right.
But we must go.
Sure. Let me explain in a bit.
But there is a purpose.
Just like
I look not
just like our
just
Sure. Just want to give an example of a functionality of things. Our dress have a function. Do you agree?
No.
Do our dresses not have a role, a purpose, a function? Why are we not naked in a hot weather like that?
That's a good question.
Because some of us, we feel, if not the majority of us, that we should not just go naked and show our sexualities and our nudities and our public bodies because of when God created us. I'll give you an example. No. This is something different. When God created us, He created within us certain desires and attraction for a reason. So that when there is attraction between the opposite sexes,
But we already agreed, so let's not get there because we will disagree definitely. You're a man, I'm a woman. It always
we have differences of attraction, right?
No, we have differences of opinions about the things you can wear and the things I
Do you?
can wear.
Okay, tell me one thing. Do women get attracted the same way men get attracted?
I don't know, I've never been a man, but I hope they do.
Right.
And I hope this man can hold themselves from
Do you know-
looking and touching.
No,
And it's a different thing. And then a
I
woman
appreciate-
can wear whatever she wants.
No, I appreciate-
And she doesn't have to cover herself just because a man cannot hold his horses.
I appreciate the way you think.
For us, it's easy.
Brother, one second. I appreciate.
Thank you for the honesty.
No, I appreciate men should control themselves even if a woman is naked, right? But the biology is such that there will be attractions.
There is a biology. For that, God's will wanted to create.
No, you need to understand something.
Go.
Do you know?
I agree with
Okay, good. Do you know? Thank you. Do you know why we don't go to work naked? Any workplace, apart from pornographic industries, whatever. Why?
No, because it's distracting, of course.
Distracting. There you go. You said it.
No, I said it.
Right.
the difference.
There's a difference. Then you claim at the courthouse that someone like
No,
did something.
wrong. We don't blame. We don't just blame. We say we are equally responsible. If I have, no. This is what.
No.
No.
I can wear whatever I want.
Even though the consequences may be bad.
Because you don't have the original. And you know the bigger problem is
סליחה, אני לא יכולה ללכת עם גופייה כאולת
No, not this. This is. Let's talk about extreme. We
So
say
why go to the other extreme?
no. We say men and women should be dressed in a modest way. That's what God wants.
Okay.
But God, do you agree? We should be dressed modestly.
But do you
Fine.
agree that your
The limits.
modesty right now it's not like her modesty?
No, what I'm asking is this. To define modesty, human beings have a disagreement. Do you agree? You just agreed.
Yeah.
Disagreement.
I agree.
We say we let God define that so that we don't have to be in this disagreement. God knows more than us. He knows how human mind thinks, whether it's the mind of a man or a woman. So if God tells us these are the parameters and the boundaries, we accept.